Seguimos entonces. Ya vimos
And so on we go. We've already had the, if you remember from the ICANN panel, ICANN takes part in lots of different working groups and constituencies, as they say. We've also seen the work that the IEEE is doing through the standards for Wi-Fi of the future. But so this panel is about how to take part in some of these internet spaces, how to join the debate, how to be part of the ecosystem or community, which is working in so many different areas and is drawing up the rules that make sure that internet works. I have a panel of some great friends, moderated by my great friend Cláudio Lucena, who is in Brazil. He's in North Brazil. And all the others are great friends. Maritza from Peru, Humberto from Chile, Sergio from Argentina, Mar del Plata, and Eduardo from Bogotá. So without further ado, I will pass over to Cláudio for him to moderate this panel. I'm sure it's going to be really interesting. They all take part in different ways of this ecosystem, and they'll tell us their impressions and about how you can participate. Remember, we have lots of students from all over Latin America, as well as other regions. We have translation into English for those students from other parts of the world, and if not, on the YouTube channel in both languages. Hello, Claudia. Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. Wherever you are, thank you once again. I am a product of this ability. I work on these concrete projects to open new horizons for plans and projects. It's a great pleasure to share this with you. We've worked together in person on many occasions. And I'd also like to greet the students from the South School of Internet Governance. I was with you in person at one of the first meetings, and now we're doing this virtually. I'm talking to you from the university. We're in the university facilities. And greetings from Brazil. And I look forward to sharing this moment with my different colleagues who are playing roles in this ecosystem, as Olga was saying, because remote working isn't exactly a new normal for all of us, because much of the time we do remote work. I imagine that this internet governance system is one of the global systems which can most encourage effective participation, but the options are not always clear. So it's a pleasure for me to share this moment with colleagues from different areas and different parts of Latin America who understand how you can get involved, how you can make yourself heard. And here we are with Maritza Aguero, who's the president of the Internet Governance Center from the University of San Martín de Porres in Peru. And I imagine that we will continue working together later on this year. Humberto Carrasco from Chile, from the At-Large Advisory Committee, and Sergio Salinas Porto, who's the president of a Latin American Caribbean Regional At-Large Organization, and Eduardo Santoyo, who's the manager of .co Internet from Colombia. Let's start off with Maritza. How do we take part in these dialogues?
Thank you, Cláudio. First, I want to congratulate Olga and Adrian for this initiative. The school, which is a leader in the region, is going to give us an opportunity to talk. And I want to congratulate you for this initiative. And I also was part of that program in 2018, and it was a great opportunity. Before talking about my presentation, the question that you asked, I would like to start with something a little bit more basic. When we talk about this system, we talk about a community of people developing some characteristics in a certain area. We are talking about the virtual space, and now we are having like this virtual convergence. And I believe that it's a great pleasure to meet some great friends and colleagues, not only in this panel, but in all this school. And when we talk about this ecosystem, we are talking about network, and we talk about these different stakeholders, players. We talk about people, organizations, and all of us have a different role to play. And all this is done with a multi-stakeholders model. We all are under equal conditions to develop different models and to interact. In San Martín de Porres University, in the Internet Governance Center, we are representing the academic sector. We develop interaction with different students in order to connect them to these kind of forums that are so important. We are members of academia, and together with civil society and the technical area as well as government, we all have certain group that we relate to. And within this concept, in our organization, for example, we are going to have this school. In our university, we have been co-organizing IGF Peru together with other members of the civil society, the technical community, and the government. We get together, and this year we are going to organize the second edition of the IGF. And the idea is to allow participation, direct participation and involvement of all the sectors. And it's a great opportunity. And as members of the academia, we are bringing research and active involvement as well as education, which is paramount, because you cannot be part of a system if you at least don't have like a basic knowledge of this. And this is going to allow us to participate. And we have this idea of how we are going to participate in this ecosystem. It could be through civil society, the private sector, academia, and everything gets into the bottom-up model. We understand that everything is the same, but there are different names for it. For example, building different capacities, users, which are an important part of this and should be taken into account. Our friend Sergio Salinas is going to talk about this because he is representing LACRALO, which is the Internet users community, and they have an important role and they are doing great job in the region. And all the structures that are related to this are interconnected. So when we talk about this model, we understand that everything gets together. Why, what do we do? And this is like all get together in internet governance. I don't know if I have more time or if I have to give the floor to somebody else. We still have a little bit more time, Maritza. Thank you. And I would like to ask Humberto, what is the level of difficulty in involving people, for example, from your perspective at the university level? I know that you are doing a great job as regards the involvement of stakeholders and that it has a great impact, but how is it too difficult to involve the academia, speaking in general terms? That seems to be a little bit behind and getting more into the theory with goals and challenges. And in your career in the academia, how can you describe this?
Thanks, Cláudio. What I want to talk about today, before, I would just like to say thank you to the South School on Internet Governance for inviting me to be with you again. We did it once in Washington. Last year it was in Buenos Aires. And it's also great to be with you all, my friends. I miss you so much. I would like to hug you. But this is one of the things that I want to ask you is, what do I owe internet? Because I've spent over half my life on it, honestly, in the sense that I have had the opportunity to develop not only my academic points of view, but also a professional career on internet in various aspects of my life. One of these has been my involvement with ICANN. The first one I took part in was in Santoyo de Chile a few years ago. So you can see that I've been working closely with one of the key players in the world of the stakeholders for quite some time. Now, it has been quite complicated because in the academic world, for me, I think it's quite reactionary to the things that are going on. And on internet, things happen so quickly. You know, we might be researching something, and then when 2-3 months, maybe it's just not as important anymore. And some of the issues which, we also have the issue. Adrian Carvalho was just sending me a message on the WhatsApp. He's just reminding me that I took part in the South School on Internet Governance in Mexico, and I've completely forgotten about that. Oh, sorry about that. My bad. ICANN is very dynamic. It's one of the institutions where you can really play an important role. It's quite difficult to understand how this works for Latin America, for academics in Latin America, because most of the discussions happen in English, and that is a limiting factor, because over the day, things have improved with some of the translation tools available. For instance, they could appoint LACNIC or the LACTLT, the Latin American and Caribbean Associations. But in order to answer your question, Cláudio, what I think is that thanks to the pandemic, we academics are just beginning to understand or grasp the true importance of internet and technology. It's now just one issue. Teleworking in Chile was simply 0.64% of the labor force, and today it's 20% of the workforce. And internet has risen to the challenge, as the ISPs have not always risen to the circumstances. But I have to say that academics are now beginning to wake up and ask themselves how this works. Who provides the information? Who sets the domain names? Should it be a .cl or should it be a .co or .pe? People are waking up to these things and they're becoming interested. So we need to take advantage of this to ensure that our users, or the entire internet society, if you like, the companies as well as society and academia, they all need to get more involved. Don't know how we're doing with time, but that's it. And your comment about the linguistic obstacles certainly rings very true. And it's an issue for the South School on Internet Governance because I know another couple of schools in Brazil and in Europe, but I don't know of any other initiative like this where we're actually training people, which has the multilingual aspect. This has always been a concern for Olga when organizing the South School on Internet Governance. So I congratulate you for including this in this initiative. Now, Sergio, this is a model. The issue of how the stakeholders get involved. And Sergio is one of the reference in Brazil. From all of the different kinds of governance models, we are looking at a model which is perhaps allowing us to open up a bit and hear different voices. But we are in a multi-stakeholder universe, there are some who are more equal than others. But I want to know is how important is the involvement of civil society and how far do you think that a person who really wants to get involved can ensure that their participation will have an impact, will be relevant? You're on mute. Sorry. What a good question, Cláudio. But before I answer, I do miss all my friends, I have to say, and it's very exciting to see you, albeit on the other side of the screen. The first thing is to give a virtual hug to all the South Schools of Internet Governance, who once again have ensured that this can take place. It's been a really huge effort for several years now to ensure that this keeps on going and to ensure that we can all meet once a year and discuss things that have to do with internet governance and with the involvement from the different sectors so that they have something to say in the global discussion and also to help train all the people who go through the school. I think it's great to see Olga, because I know her from other activities that we've shared in Mexico or in Buenos Aires. I have taken part in the last two schools, but it has to be said that the South School on Internet Governance really has set the gold standard. And I can see that there are other people now copying this initiative. Having said that, let's get to the point. There is no better way of taking part than to do so on a level playing field. It is true that some are more equal than others in a multi-stakeholder universe, but otherwise we would not be able to sit down on an equal footing to talk about things that we are all interested in. As Maritza says, my responsibility is to run the Latin American, Caribbean user section. And it's very interesting to see how our voices are heard. We have the possibility of interacting with other segments on internet, which make up the ecosystem, and exchange ideas. These amazing meetings that we hold with other sectors in the value chain of power, because that's how I see this. It's like a value chain of power, which it maintains the balance in the ecosystem, and users perhaps are perhaps the weakest link in this chain, but nonetheless, we are just as important when it comes to discussing issues which are related to the lives of each citizen. Humberto was saying, in Chile, we are discussing the issue that internet works, but what is not working are the ISPs. And that's the point, isn't it? Because if we use internet as we know it, it is because there are people like us and many, many more who are working to make sure it works, it can run, for it to be sufficiently solid to progress. Cláudio, let's just think about this for a minute. What is the degree and importance of making oneself heard, of sharing one's opinion, having a point of view, of taking time away from entertainment or something else and dedicating it to a collective cause? Each one of us, when we work in the IGF or in ICANN, what we're doing is putting our time at the service of a far greater community. It's not just us, what we might think. Yeah, let's talk about this. We look about DNS abuse, say, but am I doing this because I really care, or am I doing it because it can help so many other people to have a better experience when browsing or using internet? But then you have to be able to explain that in more down-to-earth terms. In internet, when you ask your neighbor, your guy, what is internet? Say you ask your neighbor, you say, oh yeah, it's a platform, you know, like Facebook or Gmail or YouTube. But those are somebody's computers. Internet is far broader than that. That what your ordinary citizen is going to think. But for these applications to function, those computers have to be connected to the internet. And that means that we were able to ensure that that didn't collapse. And that is the greatest impact that each one of us has each time they say something, they participate. It's because all of this is what makes this work over time. Well, I don't know if I've answered your question, if I've gone on too long, because I do tend to go on a bit sometimes. Thank you, Sergio. So to wind up this first round, Eduardo Santoyo, we were talking about, at the beginning of this panel, about intersessional work. Do you have any idea how you might see those sorts of encounters? Are there things that what we really need to do in person? Discussion, which is perhaps a little bit deeper or more far-reaching. But in terms of internet governance, it goes far beyond the in-person. I think most of the work that is done in this area is carried out between sessions. It's between sessions held between the IGF. What can you tell us about this sort of participation, which is naturally remote, because it's remote?
Thank you, Cláudio. My greetings to all my friends here and Olga and Adrian. I want to thank you for inviting us to share this panel with the community in the South School of Internet Governance. Focusing on your question, Cláudio, I think that first of all, I would like to say that participating in the internet ecosystem is like a calling that all of us have, and we should think about what we can do. It's important for young people to participate. For example, young people helping their parents to use internet or WhatsApp or any other communication means. They are helping in this internet ecosystem, as well as maybe people working on a new app. They are also actively participating in the internet ecosystem. The group of people that develop standards for interconnection, they are also part of this internet ecosystem. And also people distributing information through domain names and IPs are also contributing to the internet ecosystem. I'm not going to be able to mention all of them, but there are plenty of areas in which there is a lot of participation for this internet ecosystem to be a reality. I have always said that we are responsible of offering our language or our contribution to international fora and that we can give our opinion and we can participate. That is important, as well as helping others to adequately use internet. That shows that there is a continuous activity, and each area that specializes in internet, for example, when I talk about IP numbers and domain names or technical standards, or I'm talking about users, or business, for example, those get together in our countries, our provinces, in our regions, and globally. We should participate in as many of these meetings as we can. So our job is not only to participate in a meeting, but to involve ourselves in continuous discussions so as to have the opportunity to have virtual or face-to-face meetings and to talk about common agendas, as governments do, for example, or the technical community. And the civil society should also do the same. So, Cláudio, I'm going to finish with this. We need to have a continuous involvement in this every day. Thank you. We have a couple of questions, but to wrap up this introduction, we have 1 more minute for each of you to talk about some specific initiatives. I'm going to participate in Peru, Chile, Argentina, and Colombia. And you have 1 minute, Maritza. Can you tell us some specific initiatives that people can participate in? Schools, different webinars, courses, something specific that you can mention. Thank you, Cláudio. Within the initiatives that we have in Peru, we have the second edition of IGF Peru Youth. We are also participating actively. We have online events through our platforms, through the School of Law of the San Martín de Porres University, together with other organizations from different countries. We are also participating by different papers and involving our students community so that they are part of these initiatives. Humberto, what about Chile? In Chile, there are different cities, mainly in Santiago. There are many activities, but today, because of the pandemic, or actually thanks to the pandemic, we in the provinces can compete with big cities, not only in my country, but all over the world. So today, for example, we are organizing some seminars as regards coronavirus and the consequences in internet, for example, or we are working on a domain name users defense organization. We work with UNEP Chile. We have more than 260 cases that we are working on. A lot of students from the universities and people working on different papers on these topics. And today I am also giving a course on legal, which is my favorite subject. Thank you. Sergio. You're muted.
Sergio, estás en mute.
Today I was all day muting the microphone and forgetting about it. I'm sorry. I was saying that you can get into internauta.org.r and let me tell you that a while ago, we started working with 92 organizations all over the country through a decree law, making internet and cable TV an essential service, a public utility. And we are going to organize the Digital Argentina Forum that is going to take place on November 14th, and it's going to be a virtual conference. We are going to address topics that have to do with education, health, and public utilities. We are going to work on a multi-stakeholder structure. We're going to have national politicians, civil society, as well as businessmen that are going to be discussing the topics that we are interested in that have to do with the growth of Argentina in terms of digital structure. Thank you, Sergio. The .gov efforts, Eduardo. I think that we need to help build this community together, and in these opportunities such as digital literacy, for example, with our family, which sometimes it may seem strange because we are in 2020 and there are still people who need digital literacy. They need to learn to use this tool, which is internet, and similar technology tools efficiently in order to have social networking or to participate in the academia. And we need to continue learning that. This year we had to learn. We didn't have a choice, but for example, in my country, there are more than 40% of children that cannot attend digital schooling because they don't have access to a computer or sometimes to information, and they ask help at home, and their parents don't know how to use those digital tools, so they can't help them. So there's a huge responsibility in Latin America to help towards that literacy process as regards technology. And we need to support each other. There are a lot of tools. We are not alone. We have ISOC, ICANN, the South School. We have a lot of people that can help us, and we need to support each other. Olga, I hope that this was a useful panel. We have a little bit more time for some questions. I have some comments.
All 5 of you, I have to say, I really miss you. It's not a joke. I think the same thing happened with Adrian and Oscar and all of those who are here. It's just been such a huge effort made to make this look like a television studio, and it's all like one big TV studio, really, which of course helps me to achieve my dream of being a rock star. I do play the drums, you know, in my spare time. I would like to make one comment of each of you. Cláudio is the best example of what this school is for. I met him once in Geneva in 2015 at the beginning of the year, and he was a bit lonely. There were lots of Brazilians, but he wasn't hanging out with the rest of them. Usually they're all talking to each other in Portuguese, and they're a bit scared of me because I speak Portuguese and they understand me. So I was like, he was standing there by himself. I talked to him, and I told him about the school. And when he held it in Costa Rica, he was the first to apply it. And because I'm the one who's running the grants program, he was the first person's application I saw. And he just got totally involved in the governance issue at ICANN in a fantastic way as an academic and with all his know-how, because he was already well known. So I think he's a fantastic example of somebody who already has a profession working in activities such as a school, because this is what it's all about. It's about spreading, distributing knowledge. Maritza has done something amazing with her university. A little while ago, we chose them to provide special training on all the aspects of internet society throughout Latin America. As you remember, Maritza, we had all this process. And at the beginning, what we wanted was to be allowed to ask questions. And actually, Maritza is a fantastic example. Eduardo, thank you so much. You've always supported us with the school. And I will never forget the dinner we had in Bogota, in Monserrate. You remember we sang. It was an amazing evening. They were one of the ones who put up the money for the dinner. And it was really unforgettable. We went up to the top of the mountain. We saw Bogota by night, and they give us lots of support to the school. And with Sergio, we've lots of fights, but actually, I love you really. We've had so many fights, but it doesn't matter. We like that. We Argentines, we fight and then we kiss and make up. And then I think Eduardo said something very important. I think that they always said that we were crazy to spend so much money on interpreting services, but we've always felt this was very important. We've sometimes had to put up our own money. We've always felt it was vital to have translation services into languages, into other languages. And when we did this in Brazil, we've done it into 3 languages. We think this is really important because basically many of our students are not Spanish speakers. So thank you once again to all of you. I don't know if you have a final comment you'd like to share. Well, I think that's it, actually. Thank you very much. I would just like to say something, Cláudio, just a very tiny little comment. I want to thank Adrian Carvalho, who from the South School on Internet Governance in Washington saved me because I arrived without a tie and he lent me his tie when I had to speak. So that's a true friend. Oh, there is one more thing. I said I was going to make a comment about each one of you. I just want to say that the comment for Humberto was that he has written one of the chapters in our book. I asked lots of people to do so, but not everybody said yes. Some of those people are actually there on the panel. Anyway, he wrote the chapter on the whole business about .cl and the countries. So anyway, thank you very much to everybody. And we have to move on to our next panel. As you can see, we have to change the videos on the feed and the camera and do a number of technical things. It's not quite the same as an in-person event. So keep safe, look after yourselves. I miss you and I hope to see you soon. And hope to have the opportunity to share a nice Malbec or a caipirinha. I miss the Colombian coffee tomorrow as well. I ran out of Colombian coffee in March and I'm really suffering the effects of this. So big hugs to everybody and also greetings from Adriana and Oscar. Take care, stay safe.